Mistakes I've made at my corporate job, part 5. And talking about this one still makes me cringe. Have you ever felt so frustrated with your manager that you just vent with a colleague thinking that this is a person you can trust because maybe they're going through the same thing? Yeah, well, I made a very similar mistake. So disclaimer, this was like one of my very first corporate jobs and I was very young and didn't know how to properly go about fixing the issue. So if this is you, listen up. So I was feeling super frustrated with the way that I was being treated by one of my managers, and I decided to just chit chat over lunch with one of my colleagues about it, and I vented about my frustration. At the time, I did not realize how close of a relationship this person had with said manager. And you can imagine how that went. So while I do think that maybe that colleague was trying to help me when they did this, it didn't. So this colleague went to my manager and expressed to them how I was feeling. And let me tell you that the conversation between that manager and me was not pretty. They called me into the back room and started yelling and all this stuff. And while yelling at your employee is never okay, that was extremely unprofessional of that manager. That manager was more upset at the fact that I shared that I was feeling frustrated with a colleague instead of them. So while I do not agree at all with the methods that manager took by yelling at me, I do agree that I should have gone to them first. So if this is you and you're feeling frustrated with a manager, my suggestion is always to reach out to them first before sharing with a colleague. But do not just reach out to them verbally. This is my suggestion. Send an email. This also helps if you're somebody who wants to avoid confrontation or does not feel comfortable expressing how you feel in person. Now, it is very important that this email has these 3 parts. The first part of this email needs to express how you're currently feeling and the frustration that you're experiencing. The second part of this email should include real-time instances that made you feel frustrated. And if you have the time and date, even better. The third and probably the most important part of this email should include an attempt of you scheduling time to speak between you and your manager to have a conversation of how you can better work together to come up with solutions. Now, I think this one's obvious, but just in case, throughout this entire email, you should sound as respectful as possible. Because I know sometimes these situations are super frustrating and you would just want to curse them out as much as you can, but no, don't do that. Before you actually send this email, please make sure that your company has something called a retaliation policy. And basically what a retaliation policy means is that it keeps you safe from getting fired or let go because you decided to speak up against a manager or a colleague. I really hope that this helps you on your corporate journey.